Welcome to the Z Spot.
Hey. I'm Pryor-Graves, sex therapist, intimacy coordinator, sexologist, and your go-to for all things love, lust, and everything in between. Every other Tuesday, you're invited to come a little closer to where real conversations press against your heart, linger in your mind, and tingle through your body. I'm bringing you guests who keep it honest with just the right hint of spicy. From experts to exes, artists to activists, and lovers to legends. So, thanks for choosing you and swiping right on me. Now settle in, because it's time for us to hit the spot.
Hey, I'm your host, Pryor-Graves of Intimacy with Z, and this is the Z Spot, the podcast for the curious, the courageous, and unapologetically authentic. We're talking intimacy, reclaiming self, and centering all the sexy, sticky, soulful stories that matter. So welcome to the girls, the gays, the theys, and anyone bold enough to ask questions we weren't supposed to growing up, and speak the truths that we are finally ready to live. Today on the Z Spot, we're getting a little nerdy about something a little spicy. I'm sitting down with a sexual health educator to talk about kink and spectrum sexuality identities. Because let's be real, most people are familiar with terms like heterosexual, gay, lesbian, bisexual. And while the letters in LGBTQIA+ are more visible than ever, many folks still don't know what they all even mean. Or how deeply diverse they can be within those identities. As language grows, so do the ways we describe who we are, who we're drawn to, and how attraction actually works. Sexual identity isn't a one-size-fits-all, and most people don't fit neatly into any single box. Honestly, a lot of us are walking Venn diagrams. So, let's pause and name a few identities and orientations that live outside of the binary and often outside of mainstream conversations. Some of those are pansexual, asexual, demisexual, the list goes on. These identities reflect how we love, relate, explore, express power, and how we play. And they don't exist in isolation because identity and erotic behavior constantly inform one another. That intersection between identity, expression, and erotic behavior is what brings us to today's conversation. So stay curious, stay open, and help me welcome today's guest to the Z Spot. Hi, Leah.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. And just to tell you a little bit about Leah Eve is an Atlanta native with a bachelor's degree in science and public health and a master's degree in women's gender and sexuality studies. She has over a decade of experience in public health, including 5 years focused specifically on LGBTQ+ inclusive sexual health education. Leah currently works with a local nonprofit to improve adolescent sexual health outcomes. And she recently founded Sex Talks ATL, which is a space that curates workshops and events for lesbian and queer women to learn about sexual health, explore desires, and build relationships rooted in honesty, self-awareness, and most importantly to me, pleasure. Mm-hmm. Leah, thank you for catching up with me on the Z Spot. How are you feeling today?
I'm good. I'm so happy to be here.
I know. I'm so happy you're here. I'm so happy you're here. I know the last time I saw you, you were doing something very similar.
I was.
Yeah.
I was speaking on a panel.
Absolutely. And it seems like I've seen you in and about the community really standing on your platform of making sure that everybody is informed about their bodies, sexual health, and awareness, but with a lesbian and queer focus.
Yes.
Yeah. So I would love to know a little bit more about Sex Talks ATL.
Yeah.
And where did that idea come from after working so long in the public health sector?
Yeah. So I like you said, I've been working in sex education for about 5 years. But for a long time, my friends have actually been telling me you should be a sex educator. So before I was even a sex educator, friends were like, you need to be a sex educator. I was always the go-to friend for people who wanted to, ask questions about sexual health, ask questions about relationships. And then people were like, you should start your own brand. And so
I wanted to do it, but I felt nervous. I think there's always like that kind of imposter syndrome that I deal with of like,
that.
what, me? Like, why would I do that? But actually how I started is so funny is because I went on a dating episode of the No Homo Show.
Oh,
Did you see that?
I did.
They had a Valentine's Day episode.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. And when I went on the episode, at the end of it, I was like, let me put my little plug in. And so I said to them, like, oh, by the way, I'm a sexual health educator. And so if you're interested in interviewing me, like, I'd love to be on your show. I'm like, okay, cool. So they're like, send us an Instagram DM and like, tell us a little bit about like what you do. It kind of made me think I need to start my own brand because I really need to start putting myself out there more. And she was like, you know, you're going to come on the show and we need you to promote like events that you do. At the time, I didn't have my own Instagram for my page. And so after that, I was like, I really need to do this. And so that's where Sex Talks ATL came from. So yeah.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you being here and also the amount of space that you take up in this field. I'm a sexologist and sex educator, but I don't currently practice. So I guess is that something I can say? I'm also a sex therapist who doesn't currently practice. But I know how important, how important that space is and how people make so many assumptions and thinking that they know their bodies, they know different things, and meanwhile they end up catching something or ending up in a situation that they shouldn't be in because they didn't know as much as they thought.
Yes. And so I didn't say that before. Actually, I was invited to be on Cocktails and Conversations. I had my first ever event that was like just me outside of the nonprofit that I work in. So it was before Sex Talks ATL. It was called Let's Talk About Sex. And so it was a sex ed workshop just for queer women. It was free. It's at this local sex adult toy shop in Little Five Points. And I did a workshop. We labeled vulvas. We colored them. We played sex ed trivia.
I love that.
And so like that was such a hit. And I think there was like 30 something people came. And everybody's like, what are you going to do next one? This is so awesome. Da, da, da. And so it made me realize like, wow, like my community really wants this.
Yes.
And then I had that Cocktails and Conversations. And then I was like, this is like starting to take off. Like I need to start my own brand because this is so important. A lot of people don't know about this information or they have misinformation or they feel shame or insecurity or they're like, they don't know what to ask or who to ask. And so ever since I've started this, people have just been like, oh my gosh, this is so important.
Right. And it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And I guess I know I opened this up saying we're going to get a little nerdy and a little spicy. I think I want to know a little bit more about you and your journey as a human. And then maybe jump into some of the more sexual health things that I know that I need a refresher on. So I know that when we were talking and we were catching up and trying to figure out what this episode could look like, you mentioned that you were demisexual. So I would love to know if you could tell folks what that means, and kind of how you arrived at that identity. And then let me not stack my questions, but I have lots of questions. I'm very curious about this, but
yeah. So actually, like identifying as demisexual is literally within this year that I realized, like, oh, because I heard what it was, and then I was like, wait, I think I'm demisexual, and so I don't know what the exact definition is, but from my understanding, demisexual is you're attracted to people based on a connection, an emotional connection with them, not just the way that they look or the way that they appear. And so when I heard that, somebody that I was like very briefly talking to was like, oh, I'm a demisexual. And then I was like, okay. And then I looked it up and I'm like, oh. And then the more I talk about it, the more I think about it, the more I realize my interactions with people, the more I realize like the amount of people that I have sex with, which is not a lot, or very often, is like, oh, actually, I'm demisexual because I might find somebody attractive on the outside, but then the more I get to know them, I might not. Or the other way around, somebody might not appear to be as attractive as I think, but the more I get to know them, the more I'm like, okay, I'm attracted to them. And like, I have friends who, they just want to make out with people at the club, at the bar. They're like having one night stands. They like do all that. You said it's giving you.
back in the day.
I never really was I was more when I was younger, I think, but now that I've like come into myself, come into myself. Growing into myself, like I realized like, oh, like it takes a lot for me to like want to even make out with somebody, to like put my lips on their lips and exchange their fluids and all those things. So that's why I realized I'm demisexual, or how, I guess.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times people feel like they have to choose one or the other. I think people, like, I get overwhelmed by the number of labels that exist. But just like sometimes they can box people in, they can also be really freeing.
Yes, that's how I feel. It's like a lot of people are like, why do we have to have so many labels? And it's like, for me, like I said, when I heard the word demisexual and I looked it up, I was like, oh, that's me.
Yes.
And then the more I like talk about certain things, like I don't watch porn. If I want to play with myself, it's like thinking about an experience I've had.
Right.
Like a person, like a situation. It's not just like random. And that, my friend was even like the other day, she's like, oh, you really are demisexual. I'm like, yeah, it really is, you know, those things. And so I agree that I think that having a label for some people can be freeing because you feel seen, you feel heard, you feel like, okay, now I understand myself more.
Right.
And also I wanted to clarify, sorry, I'm a demisexual, but I'm also a lesbian.
So that's where I was gonna get to. Because I'm like, so people, I feel like, don't realize that all of these things can be multi-dimensional. Is that a good way to say it?
Yeah.
But identifying as demisexual, lesbian, and also kinky.
Yeah.
So I would like to know I want to know how kinky plays into demisexuality and if those worlds are different. But first, could you define what kink is for you?
Yeah. So I think what kink is for me is like I mean, sure, I do enjoy vanilla sex when I have sex, which is just like regular, you know, just ourselves. But I think for me, kinky means like I like to play with sex, with sexuality, in terms of like I'm interested in like there's something called shibari, which is like rope tying. I'm interested in that. I like impact play, so that's using like paddles or hands or whips or horse crops to experience pain. So to me, being kinky is like I like to play and explore these little things that I realize that not a lot of people actually are interested in. And I go to events that are kink events. So like parties or things like that, where people are doing what is called a scene. So people are doing a kink scene where you're watching somebody doing shibari, doing rope tie. You're watching somebody getting paddled. You're watching somebody. There's something called like needle play, things like that. So being able to watch those things and maybe experience those things, that is what being kinky is to me.
Thank you for sharing that. And I'm also, so I think a lot of times people feel like kink is inherently sexual, right? And I think that it's important to identify that kink can be sexual, and it also, in other worlds, it doesn't have to be. And that seems very true of this situation because demisexuality is about a connection with the person and being attracted to them or what have you. If you're going to a play party, it might be with people you don't know, but you can still have a kink experience without it impacting your orientation or your romantic side. So that's like, you know, the difference of behavior and
Identity.
Yeah.
So a play party is different necessarily, could be different from just a kink party.
Thank you.
So a play party is like people are having sex or doing sexual things. Like I actually did go to a play party recently and a lot of girls were getting their pussies ate. I was like, good for y'all. I was just a voyeur. So a voyeur is being somebody who likes to watch. So I like to watch in those spaces. But there was also like other things happening where like people were experiencing shibari or people were experiencing impact play. But kink events might just be like an event where like there's a performance, like a kink performance happening on stage where you're just watching. So it's like you're going to a play or you're going to like watch a dance or something like that. But I was actually thinking about this recently because when you asked me like, how do you differentiate your kinky lifestyle and like, you know, being demisexual? And I was thinking about for me, like, how do I explain this to people? Because a lot of people, like I said, I don't think a lot of people have really been to kink parties or play parties. I think that going to kink events for me is kind of like going out dancing. Because like if you go out dancing, sometimes you go because you want to be in the environment. You want to be at the club or you want to be at the, dance place. You might also want to dance by yourself. You might also want to dance with other people. You might, when you dance with other people, maybe you're grinding on them. Maybe you're touching each other's bodies. Maybe you kiss, but maybe you're dancing, just looking at each other dancing. And so that is how I thought about, like, for me going to kink parties, it's like when I go, I'm not going to have sex. I am going to watch, to experience, and see what happens. And most of the time, if I do play at a kink party, I'm getting what people call a tasting. So that means like I'm watching people have a scene, and then maybe a tasting is they're like, oh, do you want to try this thing called electroplay? That's something I never heard of before. I literally just held my hand out and the guy put this little electrocution thing on my hand.
I love it.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, so I had a tasting, but it wasn't sexual. Like he didn't touch my body other than put the electro thing on my hand. We didn't kiss, we didn't do anything. So it's not necessarily sexual. It's just like going to experience something that might make you feel a little tingly, but I don't go home and masturbate afterwards. And I don't have sex. Most of the time at kink parties, people aren't coming. People aren't touching each other's like genitals, maybe even not their chest, maybe just their butt. Like it could just be visual and like other kinds of stimulation, if that makes sense.
No, it absolutely makes sense. And it also creates further separation from identity, because I'm assuming the person you're referring to as a cis man.
It was.
Yeah. So in that situation, it is separate from the lesbian identity. Yeah. So.
And I don't normally let cis men like touch me like that either. It was just like situational. He felt trustworthy. And I've noticed also in kink spaces, they, in my experience, have felt way more consensual and safe than like going out to the regular club. Because people know that this is a place where people might be naked. People are going to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of conversations about consent. Sometimes you go to an event and they're like, okay, we're having this consent conversation. If we see anything, if we hear anything that's like not a no, then like you need to leave kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Where I feel like at clubs and bars, it's just like.
It's a free for all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people aren't like wasted like that. Like, yes, people like drink and people like smoke and maybe doing other drugs at kink parties. I don't know. But like it always feels more safe to me.
Yeah, I could completely understand that. I mean, you're putting the language of consent at the forefront of it. It's not a suggestion, it is an absolute requirement.
Yes.
So we figured out some separations between your identity and your behavior. And so do you keep kink separate from your personal sexual experiences? So, okay, so it's a yes and.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I also recently realized that I'm like, oh, I'm single right now, but the last serious relationship I was in, we were kinky, we went to kink things together. And since I've started like trying to date other people, I realized like the person that I'm dating, they don't have to already be kinky, but they have to at least be like open to it and interested in it.
Yes.
Like if there's someone that like thinks it's weird or thinks it's too much or like well, it's not going to work, because it's something that's like I found really important to me and something I really enjoy and something I want to be able to experience with my partner, going to kink events, exploring kink in our sexual lives as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And being able to have those conversations about I was gonna say, don't yuck my yum. It's like one of my favorite expressions is just like, you don't have to do it. Right. But you have to be accepting of the full scope of who I am.
Yeah.
And working through those boundaries. And then we get into that muddy water a little bit of that separation of kink, because if that person potentially isn't kinky, finding ways to play and to still invite kink lifestyle while operating within a monogamous relationship. Have you run into those dynamics?
I have not personally yet, but I was talking to a friend recently who was in like a relationship, and she was saying how she wanted to go to a kink party, but her partner didn't want to go, but also didn't feel comfortable with her going by herself. And I'm like, I do get that too, because even as a kinky person, if I was in a relationship, I don't know how to feel about my person going to a kink party without me. But I guess it's, again, that's like trust. What are your boundaries? It's like you need to have those conversations of like, okay, if you're going to a kink party, what does that mean for you? Does that mean you're playing with other people? Does that mean you're just watching other people? Like, what are our boundaries, and do we trust each other and feel like good in that? But definitely the like not yucking my yum and being open. I think it's all like, are you going to be open to trying things? Maybe there's things I don't want to try that you want to, or maybe there's things you don't want to try and I don't want to, but where can we meet in the middle, and where can we like just be open-minded and exploring in ways that make us both feel happy and satisfied?
Okay. I like that.
Yeah. That's my goal anyway.
Yeah, right? That's the goal.
Yeah.
But even I'm thinking about dating, like you're bridging the topic of dating. I'm thinking about being in the sexual world and field, and being an intimacy coordinator and sex educator, and then you as well. Thinking about, when do we bridge these conversations? When does it happen? Hello, my name is Zuri and I'm kinky, or
are you kinky?
I'm not.
No. Okay. Dang. No. Good.
I know. But that's part of the thing, right?
Right.
But because of my background, I feel like I'm constantly having to come out as vanilla.
Right.
Because the automatic assumption is that I am down for whatever because of what I do. And being somebody who's been in the sex education and health and therapy world, I was in that world for about 6 years or so before now I'm an intimacy coordinator. I'm out here directing sex scenes.
Right.
So that narrative has followed me, of the expectation from Hello that I'm going to be overtly sexual or bring that into the space. Have you had similar experiences?
Yeah. So I think that like when people meet me and I'm like, I'm a sex educator, that people think like, oh, she's a freak. Like literally somebody told me that. Well, I asked them
all the time.
Yeah. They're like, oh yeah, I just assumed you're a freak, and that you have like a roster and like a lineup. And I'm like, I mean, okay. I am a freak.
I was about to say, those things don't have to be mutual excuse.
I am very sexually, to me, liberated. Doesn't mean you're not liberated if you're a vanilla. I am kinky. I am a freak with my partner. But I don't have a roster, and I don't have sex with a lot of people. Like I didn't have sex for a whole year, and then I had sex with one person this year that was like 4 months ago, and I haven't had sex since. So like I'm very selective about who I have sex with. And if I have sex with somebody, most likely I want it to end up being something, because I'm demisexual. So like I have an emotional connection to you before we have sex. Now that we have sex, I definitely have an emotional connection to you. But if I'm having sex with you, like I do want to do kinky stuff and freaky things.
Okay, kinky freaky.
Kinky freaky. But I don't like people like assuming that I'm just out here like having sex with multiple people, or that I have a roster, or that I'm just like, that's all that I am, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But like when it comes to kink, when do you reach that conversation? Is it right at the beginning?
It's soon. So I actually just posted on my Instagram last night. It was like 5 reasons why sexting can make your sex life better.
Okay.
So watch it, look at it. It's not a watch, actually, it's like a swipe, 5 things. But the thing is, I do love sexting. So if I'm dating somebody, if I'm talking to somebody, if we get to that point of like, okay, we're interested in each other sexually because there's an emotional connection, then we're probably there's gonna be some kind of spicy texting.
Okay.
And so probably at that point, I'm gonna like be asking questions, or even in just a regular conversation, like, who are you? Oh, are you interested in kink? Have you ever been to a kink event before? Because I go to kink events often. Again, it's not a sexual thing. It's an experience. It's like people go to the club, I go to a kink event.
Right.
So I'm going to talk about it, even not in a sexual way. Just like, oh yeah, I like this kink event. Have you ever tried that? Have you ever explored it? And pretty soon on, sometimes I realize like I have to filter people out if they think if they're not down. Like, like I recently talked to somebody who, she was like, I've never experienced it before, but I'm open and I'm interested. And I talked to somebody else who was like, I'm not down. And I'm like, well, that's not really going to work, because like that is something that I feel has really become a part of who I am. It's something I really love and enjoy doing.
Yeah.
And not something I want to feel like I have to hide.
Absolutely. And I'm sure for some people, if it's if it's out of their mainstream or something that they witness or experience regularly, it can be kind of intimidating. And I think you're probably one of the best people to invite somebody to that stage because you know how to do it gently and invite them into the conversation. So on dating, are you single right now?
Very.
Very.
Like, nobody's in my inbox.
Nobody's in your inbox. Somebody slide in
my DMs, please.
Come on. Leah Eve is ready for you. Yeah. But I want to know, like, what do you wish, what kind of energy, if somebody is coming to approach you, what kind of energy do you wish that they came with versus what you typically get as a sex educator?
Yeah. So I feel like people, they come to me like very intrigued, like interested.
Yes.
Like even somebody was like, I'm curious about you. Like they should have used those words. People are very curious. They're like, oh, she's a sex educator, whatever. They're curious, but people are just not intentional.
Right.
I've noticed. Like people just don't move intentionally. They're just like, oh, I just want to see what happens. Right. I just want to talk to you because you're interested. I'm going to ask you for your number, but I'm never going to text you back kind of thing. I just want people to be intentional. And to me, it's like I said, like, I don't just like date people. Like if I'm dating, like I can't do casual dating. That just doesn't work for me. Sometimes I wish I could because, maybe it would take the edge off a little bit to just casually date, but it just doesn't work for me.
It's
like
not fruitful.
It's not. Like I have meaning, and that's why I'm even with like friendships. Like my friendships are meaningful. Like I don't have very many like casual friendships. If we're friends, we're good friends. Like I just move about my life in a very intentional way. And so I want somebody, like, if they're going to approach me, to be intentional. It doesn't mean that, like, I think some people get scared. So like, oh, that means she wants to get married. And it's like, I'm not trying to marry you. I'm not trying to like be like, okay, we just met, so now we're together. But honestly, me and my friend yesterday were like, if we fuck, we go together. Basically, this is what it is. But I just want people to be intentional and like actually get to know me for me. And like, of course, we always have assumptions about people when we meet them. That's just, or biases. Like that's just how we are as human beings. But like, I just want people to be intentional about interacting with me and don't just get my number because I don't know, it feels your ego or something.
Ego and and like you started it off saying curiosity. Like I think like I've been single going on I guess 3 years or so. But I'm a dating app fanatic, right? I love a dating app. I love a dating app. And my dating app has like I mostly use Hinge, and it has like all the rules to approach me. And some of the first things are do not ask me about intimacy coordinating, do not ask me about sex, don't have like but I realized I've had like that came from somewhere. And filtering out people for probably the last decade because I feel like anytime I'm on a date with someone, it comes up so quickly. I feel like there should be a timeline when we're like, why are we just sat down to eat and you're finding some way to work sex into the conversation because you just think that I'm used to that or this is what I want or you're fascinated by me and you stopped there. You saw the sex part. And even if people are like, no, I don't want to just have sex with you, but that curiosity is allowed.
It's like, ooh, she a freak. She's going to do all these things. And it's like, but not with you, if that's all you can do. So.
Yikes. Yeah. And it's like, I don't know. I feel like I have to run interference on myself when it comes to dating. But I think that being a sexual health educator actually, and I was talking to a friend recently about this, I think it's actually made me more vanilla. So
see that.
I think that in an effort to prove people wrong, I do a lot less than what people expect.
Yeah.
And I think that, and I also date more masculine of center women, and
Same.
I don't know how many. Well, it's probably just a couple, but it comes up eventually. But I feel like I can think of 2 specific dating examples where probably in the first 10 to 15 minutes of the date, strapping comes up. And it's like, just so you're not like, you're not gonna strap me. Like,
They say that to you?
yes.
You're like, what?
It's like, where is this coming from?
It's because you're like confident. You have like a little bit of like, I guess, dominant energy. So they think, oh, that's what you want.
Yeah. And I'm like, how many steps did you get in your head before you got there? Like, you're like, oh, she's a sexual person. She's going to do this. Oh, she's confident in the sex world. And then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, don't trap me. I'm like, what?
Like, we're not even talking about that. And also, why not? Like, experience that.
Yeah, but it's interesting. I feel like part of the reason why I'm single is because of what I do.
I was going to ask you, like, single for 3, it's always like the most amazing people that are like single.
Thank you.
You know, it's like because people can't match the energy or the what you bring to the table. Is that what it is?
Yeah, or they start off from an assumption. You know, that assumption that is intimidating to them around sex or around whatever it is, instead of just kind of meeting us where we are.
Yeah, honestly, what's kind of funny is not funny, interesting. The last person that I dated or whatever, she was basically like, I just thought you wanted to bring me into the kink world. And I think it's because I'm trying to think. We met. She knew that I'd had my first Let's Talk About Sex workshop. I was planning the second one. The second one, we had a kink demo at it. And when we started talking, of course, like I said, eventually, you know, things got spicy. We did end up sexting. We ended up having sex. But yeah, at the end, she was, and we didn't do anything kinky when we had sex. We didn't have any toy, nothing. It was pretty vanilla sex. But but yeah, I was like, like, why did she, I didn't even ask her because it was over at that point, but I'm like, why did she just assume that I was trying to bring her into the kink world?
Probably always thought that. And she just didn't say anything.
She was like, I didn't even think you liked me for real. Like, I just thought, and I'm like, what?
I'm telling you, if people just did less, like do less, like have more conversations and don't act on impulse.
Less assumptions.
Yeah, that's wild.
It is interesting.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that was one that bit the dust.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds bittersweet. No?
No. Yeah. No, she's a good person, I guess. She's a good person, but leave it at that.
Yeah, not everybody's for you.
Yeah, not everybody's for me.
Yeah. But there are people who you meet who you aren't dating, and you do need to assert the knowledge that you have and the skill sets that you have, and find those places of education in your friends. I know that's always hard for me, is when I see my friends struggling with something and I'm like, I want it. But it's not my boundaries. Right. It's not my place. But as a sexual health educator, what are some of the things that you feel like have come out most often in your work?
Like as sex talks or like working with teens? Because that's like different, you know?
Let's keep it sexy.
Okay, yeah, I figured so. People do not know a lot about like STIs being spread women to women. And so I realized this after actually I did my episode on the No Homo show. You should watch. Really good, really informative. Because they post the little clips, you know, on YouTube, and then people comment under them. And one of them was about how HIV can be spread via breast milk. I
remember that. Oh, breast milk. Oh, I missed that one.
Breast milk. Yeah. And also strap. Is that what it was? Yeah. Like STIs can be spread via strap, which is also HIV. And that's really like if you're like having multiple partners, especially in the same night. Or if you have the same partner the next day, you didn't clean the toy. Or another partner the next day, you didn't clean the toy. So I think, yeah, a lot of how STIs are being spread from women to women. I think that's like the biggest thing.
Also, y'all, clean your toys.
Clean your toys.
Clean your toys. It's not a tomorrow thing.
Clean them.
Or use condoms. Like,
yeah, you can put a condom on a strap.
Right. Either or both, you know. Yeah. Yes, that is my public health announcement for the day. But you said breast milk?
Breast milk.
That's something HIV, I never thought about that.
Milk. Yeah.
So you can breastfeed a baby and they can catch it. But also, I forgot, I used to be very, very well versed on my kink terminology. But there is, I guess a kinky fetish is, I guess, what this would fall under, for people who, like adults who enjoy drinking breast milk from other adults.
Yeah. Which I heard it tastes good. I haven't had it. Breast milk.
Apparently it tastes like pure sugar.
Apparently it's like cream. Like people are like, put it like ice cream. Like they're like, put the cream in your coffee. It tastes delicious.
Yikes. So next time on the Z Spot, we will have breast milk creamer for our coffee.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not going to do that.
Yeah, no, we're not going to do that. Let's test it first for HIV. But no.
Exactly. Exactly. That's wild. I wouldn't have thought about that in terms of, because we think about all of the exchanges of bodily fluids, but that's not one that I consider a thing.
Because even if it's not necessarily a fetish, but it's like maybe you're dating someone who just had a baby. Maybe it's your wife who just had a baby, and if it's your wife, hopefully y'all know each other's statuses, but like you can spread the breast milk, so like that, or spread HIV via breast milk. So that's really important to know. But people can have HIV, and as long as they're taking medication to suppress it, they can be U equals U, which means undetectable equals untransmittable. So they can have HIV and not transmit it to other people.
Can you please say that to this camera right here?
Yeah. So U equals U means undetectable equals untransmittable. So if you have HIV or somebody has HIV and they're taking their medications to make sure it's controlled, if their doctor tells them you're undetectable, that means that you can have sex and it's untransmittable.
I love that. And something I like to remind people of is you are one of two things. You are HIV positive or you're HIV possible. So either way, you should know your status and you should be able to, navigate your world properly. So if you are actively having sex with folks, there are different pills, and now they are for all bodies. Right?
Yeah.
Because I was a part of not overseeing a study on PrEP, but one of the first rounds of PrEP that was released. I was working in Philly with 13 to 24-year-olds, predominantly HIV positive, super HIV possible, because a lot of them were marginalized, homeless youth, and they were using sex work as a means of survival sex. A lot of those, we had all-bodied folks, and the only people who could be a part of the study were our folks who were assigned male at birth. So it's nice to know that it is expanded, so that means literally everybody.
Yeah.
Go know your status, and then if you are engaging in sex, casual sex, or however you want to name it, or you are exchanging fluids with anyone, it is in your best interest to look into some of those preventative cares. And not all of them are like take a pill every day. Like they have a lot of different ways that they're administered at this point.
Yes, and there is a new shot that just came out that you can get twice a year, but I think that one is only for people assigned male at birth. But there's PrEP, which is that you take a shot in your butt once a month, or you can take a pill every day, and there's also PEP, so that's like post-exposure. So if you think you might have been exposed to HIV, whether that's via breast milk, whether that's sex, injection, stepped on a needle,
so it's like
you can take the after,
HIV.
Plan B for after pill, or Plan B for HIV.
I love that. Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like I've heard that, but I've forgotten about that. Okay. Well, are there any other things that you can think of that? I'm surprised. I'm really stuck with this breast milk thing. I don't know why I've never.
People always do. They're like, what?
I don't know. Leah, teach me something else. What's something else that you feel like you run across that even somebody who is a sex educator and in this field with you, that I might not be aware of? And it could be something I'm aware of, but maybe some other folks aren't.
Let me think. Okay. So one thing I think a lot of people don't know is that what we call the vagina is actually the vulva. The vulva is the external, and the vagina is on the inside, like the vaginal canal where you put a tampon in, where you have penetration, maybe. Also, the clitoris has like multiple parts.
Yes.
So the clitoris is not just that little or big bean that sticks out, It's also like the walls, and it's called like the vestibular bulbs, and then it's called like the crura. Also, actually, I saw something earlier. I was like, is that a pussy? Oh, no, it's not. Okay. Thought I saw a pussy in here, but it's not. But so like on the outside, why it can feel really good for like just the tip or like just to experience like pleasure like around the inside the vagina, the entrance, is because that's part of your clitoris as well. And then it goes deep into, where the G spot is. That's actually part of your clitoris.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't know that.
Try to tell people that it looks like a wishbone.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's beyond the little and maybe not so little.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm talking too much about myself.
Right.
But, it goes beyond what we are able to discover immediately when we either pull back the hood or it's, visible all the time. But it's so much more than that. And, people, I've heard so many rhetorics around like how our pleasure centers are so much smaller than what's found at the head of a penis. It's not true. It's just stretched out in different directions, and you have to go in different places to find all of the spots.
Yes.
Yeah.
Something else is like, I was thinking about the Skene's gland and squalene.
Yes.
So like what happens when we get wet is there's these two things called the Skene's glands, which are glands that are right on like the inside of like your vaginal canal. And so when you get aroused, or maybe you're not aroused, but like something happens, like, it makes you wet, that's coming from the Skene's glands, and it's called squalene. But that also made me think about something that I wanted to share is that some people like might experience getting wet or even experiencing orgasms, even if they are experiencing sexual violence or sexual assault. And a lot of people think like, oh, does that mean that I enjoyed it, or that's confusing? You can still have that experience even if you're not enjoying it, just because of your body responding. And so I just want people to like know that as well.
Yeah, it's a physical response as opposed to an emotional response. And it's something that is involuntary. Just like I wrote something about this recently, but I can't think of it right now. But just like anything that that happens in our body that we can't control, and I just wish that more people knew that, because I think that there's so much shame associated with certain situations that happen and people don't report or they don't speak up because they're like, well, I guess I was okay with it,
right?
Because my body said I was okay with it,
right?
And your body did not say you're okay with it. Your body was trying to protect you. Yeah. Because if that didn't happen and there was an assault that happened, you are at risk of causing more physical damage to your body.
Yeah, which is also why like lube is actually a safe sex material.
Lube on everything.
Yes. Like some people are like, I think because we're taught that like women are supposed to be like super wet and like smell like flowers. And it's like some people do get really wet naturally, but some people don't. And there's just sometimes you just need extra lube for that big ass dildo you want to take or whatever. And so like it's a safe sex material because it makes it so that you're not going to like tear or you're not gonna, it's not gonna hurt or whatever. Like, so should be no shame in using that.
And those glands, and I don't want to say the wrong thing, but I know that those glands produce, but they're all of the type of reasons why you run out of, you can run out of your own personal lubricant at any point in time.
Right.
Water, so the expectation that your body is going to take care of you in that way for the duration of whatever you're doing, you don't know. And it's gonna change, it's gonna vary. So yeah, lube for everything all the time. I'm always an advocate for that. But yeah. But Leah, I'm trying to think. I don't want to go because I feel like I never get to have these conversations about sex. You're bringing up all these things to me where I'm like, oh, I forgot about that.
Even though like you're interviewing me, like, can you? Because I kind of have some questions for you. Are we allowed to do that?
Yeah, Leah, I just feel like we could have this conversation forever because there are so many things that people don't know or they need to be reminded of. I think a lot of folks, when it comes to sexual health, they feel kind of silenced. They don't want to speak up, especially after you get to a certain age. It's like, you ask things in certain spaces and people are like, why don't you know that?
Right.
You know, and a lot of times they don't know it. They don't know the answer.
It's like, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
People don't even realize they don't know.
Right, exactly. Until something comes up and you're like, but the more we know, the more we can take care of ourselves and our bodies. And I hope that we get into a deeper conversation about that at some point. But for now, is there anything that you would like to leave our audience with, our listeners?
The only thing I can think about is to follow me on Sex Talks ATL on Instagram, SEXTALKS ATL. Because I do post content, you can find, other podcasts I've been on where I'm talking about, sex ed things. I'm posting other content, as well as if you live in Atlanta, you can come to some of my events where you can learn some sex education. Yeah, especially as a queer women, that's my main audience. So yeah.
Love that. Well, thank you. Yes. And you have to let me know. I would love to join one of your events.
Yes, please do.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
And just like that, we've reached the end of today's episode. If nobody's told you today, you're worthy of pleasure, connection, curiosity, and care. So thank you so much again, Leah, for showing up and being honest and being authentic and offering the audience, some new information. Yeah. If this episode touched something in you, share it with someone who needs it. Follow the podcast, leave a review, or just whisper about it in your next pillow talk. And thank you so much. This has been the Z Spot.
That was awesome.
Thank you.
The Z Spot would like to thank our water sponsor, Zinni Water. It's based right here in Atlanta. Zinni is the first and only Black-owned alkaline bottled water company in the United States. Their Zinni Gold and Silver waters are pH balanced, purified, and packed with electrolytes and minerals that hydrate your body the right way. And here's the best part. For 10% off your order at zinniwaters.com, just use the promo code TheZSpot so you can taste the difference for yourself. Support a Black-owned business, hydrate better, and feel good about what's in your glass. That's Zinni Water. Today on the Z Spot, I enjoyed the 2023 California Symphony. Think peach candy, basil, and spicy lychee on the nose, with a palette of crisp, tropical fruit, soft creaminess, and a subtle spice blend finish. Bright and delicious. Theophilus Vineyards is the creation of Theodora Lee, also known as Theopatra, Queen of the Vineyards, a Black woman-owned winemaker and trailblazer who turned her passion into an award-winning, internationally recognized brand. Every bottle celebrates excellence, heritage, and community. If you'd like to taste this selection or any of the other incredible wines, head over to theophilusvineyards.com and use the code TheZSpot for 10% off your order. And let me know if you love it as much as I did. Thank you for supporting Black women-owned business. Today, I'm hitting the spot. 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 I am so excited to be hitting the spot from the gorgeous Spark Social Podcast Studio in Atlanta.